Welcome to the Upside podcast, where we help you get unstuck in your life and your business by elevating your thinking and provoking meaningful change from the inside out. Today, I have my favorite human being in the entire world as my guest today. And yes, that is Tommy Flood, my husband. And I have been waiting to bring him on with you because I have just wanted it to be the perfect topic. And then I thought we could do 1,000 different topics, and I will probably have him on multiple times. But thank you for coming on with me, babe.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Especially yesterday, we got. I'm nervous since I got yesterday's drop was Sarah's interview.
Yes.
It was pretty impressive. I mean, y'all were amazing. She's such an incredible person.
She is an incredible person. And it's actually, year to date is our top performing podcast already, only a couple days in.
Oh.
So you have to see if you can beat that.
Yeah,
I mean, no competition or anything.
I was going to say, don't like lay down a gauntlet. Because Sarah is going to pick that up as well.
I know she keeps resharing her episode.
Yeah.
I can only hope all of that happens. That would be great. Well, I thought long and hard about what I wanted us to talk about. And one of the topics that we're going to come back and shoot sometime is the working with your spouse. And I'd love to bring in another couple. I've got certain people in mind for that. I won't share because they haven't committed yet. About working with your spouse. But first of all, in case everybody doesn't know you from a professional standpoint, tell everybody a little bit about what you do at Keller Williams and at the Go Network, and just a little bit about your leadership story.
Well, I will start by saying first and foremost that I am Mr. Theresa Flood.
That you are.
And that is the case pretty much in the entire real estate industry around Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm secondly the dad of the twins.
Yes.
That's probably my second biggest job. And then I moved into real estate. So I'm the director of growth for the Go Network. I work with all of the leadership team. I hire and find place and move talent around and talent hunt, as well as lead and guide and galvanize the team on that. I'm for Keller Williams. I'm currently the regional director for North Texas, New Mexico, Memphis. So it's similar job to the Go Network job, except for I do more, I work with more of the other operators and owners of the other real estate offices within the network, the other 17 offices that are inside of North Texas, New Mexico, and Memphis, besides our 13.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with kind of the Keller Williams model, every office is a franchise.
Yeah.
And our franchise group is called the Go Network.
Yep.
We are the largest franchise in all of Keller Williams.
We are the #1 franchise brokerage in North America as far as production goes. Not just Keller Williams, in all franchises.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I want to talk about today is the year of 2014.
Okay.
And that is the year that you got diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that worked with us at the time, they walked through that journey with us. And those friends that we have met maybe later on, I don't think it's something we talk about a whole lot. My goal is to learn something about you I don't know after 26 years of marriage in this conversation. But I thought that would be kind of an interesting dive into that because you were in a leadership role at the time.
Yep.
You were running Keller Williams Market Center.
Yep. Fairly
new to the role.
And 1 year in.
1 year in, and how
I was just about to finish the first year, and then you've done it now and realize that everybody, you don't really know what you're doing because you don't do everything in the role as of team leader until you've done a year. Like
right.
Literally, it's a very cyclical annual type job. And so you've got to do it for a whole year. And I was just closing in on the end of my first year when I got diagnosed.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about where you were kind of at professionally. What were you doing? What was that like?
So I was team leader of the Keller Williams Rockwall office. I'd taken that over. Brett Caldwell, another host, another guest on one of your podcasts, had hired me to be the team leader there. And when I took over, the office had about 80 agents. And we were in the process of building it and growing it in Rockwall, which is a bedroom community outside of Dallas. It's a big lake that separates it from the other side of town. And back in 2013, 14, that lake might as well have just been the Great Wall of China. Like nobody wanted to even go over there to eat unless it was like a special event. Or come from Rockwall to Dallas even and do that. So we were working in really a small community for being a part of DFW. I was just kind of getting our feet underneath us. We were starting to see a lot of growth happen. I had just a year earlier stepped out of full-time vocational ministry, working on staff at a church for the previous 11 years before that, and had moved into the role of team leader, and really kind of felt like I was just getting my feet underneath me, kind of getting the groove of what I was doing. We always say that every team leader at some point hits the stage where they look around and go, I don't know what I'm doing. And the faster you hit that, and the faster you get through that stage, the more likely you are to succeed in the role long term. And I feel like I would just kind of gotten through that. Like I've kind of felt like I was getting my feet underneath me, starting to have some real success in the recruiting realm. And then next thing I know, got diagnosed.
So, because I remember you replaced basically your entire staff.
They all left me within 60 days of taking over.
They did. It was quite traumatic.
Well, you say replace them. It wasn't like I top graded and I.
Well, you definitely top graded.
I fired and knew. No, they all. The first one was at least kind enough to go, okay, well, I've been here with no leadership and I feel like you can take care of this place. So here, you take it.
Yeah.
And I'm leaving. And, but yes, probably within about it was probably 75 days, probably 2.5 months.
Yeah, it was all for the best, for sure. You went over a lot of your top agents and then you started hiring a lot of top producers that are actually still there to this day.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us the story of when you got diagnosed and how old were you at the time?
I was 39, 40.
I have no idea. That's it.
30.
This is not the one thing that I'm going to learn that I didn't know. I have to do the math. Yeah.
No, so I was,
young.
no, I was 41, about to be 42.
You're a lot younger than now.
Yeah. And we have had Red Day, which is the annual day where every office at Keller Williams shuts down, does a community service project, and moves on. We did ours. It was a food drive that year. That also, for anyone that wants to remember, that May in 2014, we got 6 inches of rain in Dallas-Fort Worth that day. The only reason that matters is because we did a food drive where we collected food from agents, databases, and so forth. And we were taking all of that food to 3 different food pantries. 2 of them flooded and couldn't take us, so we had to take it to 1. Most of the people working with us got rained out and left because it literally was just a downpour. And I remember it was me and 2 incredible great agents in the Rockwell office were the only 3 people left that were going to unload an entire truck, semi-truck full of supplies into what was Lake Point Church at the time out in Rockwell. And I think it still is. Anyway, in the process of carrying way too much, because pouring down rain, I'm carrying way too much boxes, carrying way too much weight at a time, like a lot of young men would do. I was probably not young enough to do that then either. And when I finished, I really had a really sharp pain develop in my lower abdomen area. And I was convinced that I had a sports hernia because that was really hot back then. Like sports hernia, everybody was having a sports hernia. It was so hot now right now. And I was convinced it was all the rage. And I was convinced I had a sports hernia, but I needed to get through the week. It was Thursday, Friday, through the weekend, it got worse.
I'm sure I was like, toughen up, babe, you'll be fine.
Just like every other injury I've ever had.
Yes. Sorry, I'm not the most compassionate nurse.
No, it's okay. We have twin daughters now, and one of them does that. So she takes care of me for that. No, but anyway, I remember that Monday, I taught an Ignite class, which is a new agent training class. I taught an Ignite class. By the end of it, I could barely stand up. And my lower left abdomen area was in just throbbing pain. I realized I've got to go to a doctor because if I'm going to go to a specialist for a sports hernia, my insurance is going to require me to get my general prac. So I went and saw my general prac. He couldn't see me till Tuesday morning. I know I'm making this story too long, but Tuesday morning I went in. Bless him, he usually has great bedside manner. He did not. He left the room for like 30 minutes. He came back in, looked petrified, told me, you need to go see this proctologist. You've got to go see him now. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go straight there. If they don't see you immediately, I've called them and told you I'm coming. If you don't see them immediately, you need to stand there at the front desk and don't move until they take you in. And I'm like, I remember, I think I called you when I got in the car and I was like freaking out. I don't even know what this means, but man, Dr. Hull was like, he totally tripped me out. He never acts this way. Fast forward, I had to go do a sonogram, this and that. By the end of the day, I was diagnosed with cancer and scheduled for surgery on Friday.
I got your calls. I was sitting in Coffee House Cafe. We used to have our staff meetings for Dallas Preston Road in their little room over there, which is a great spot if you need a meeting place. And you were calling me numerous times, and I was still fairly new on staff. And so I was kind of honestly,
That's been 6 months in for you.
yeah, and we were kind of in the middle of something, and I'm thinking, okay, this is odd. And so finally, though, you never do that. And so I stepped out and took your call, and I could tell how shaken you were.
It was, I don't know why then, because I had no idea. But what I did feel like is it's probably not a sports hernia. I'm not gonna, I kind of felt like I headed to the doctor that day that it wasn't going to be.
Wasn't going to be good news.
Yeah. And so.
2 days later, you went through surgery, and anytime you have cancer, they do PET scan afterwards,
Yeah.
basically make sure that the surgery took care of everything. And so at that point, we were going to find out, I guess.
Yeah, it was actually a sonogram. They did another sonogram that we did. If you remember, we went and did another one of those after surgery. It was a whole week later. Everything
And the
was fine.
prognosis was all really good. They assumed they got it. This was all sort of.
We got everything. We're not going to have to do any follow-up treatments, no chemo, no
I didn't feel
radiation.
worried at that time. I'm a highly optimistic person. Were you worried at that time?
I think I was. I
I don't think we were either. It's hard to really remember back.
remember my optimism is even a tick higher than yours on the
Yeah.
fellow person.
We were flying high.
Yeah.
They got it.
Rainbows, unicorns, going to be great. We're going to have an awesome testimony about this. Doctor did a great job. The only problem was my throat was scratchy because remember they shoved that tube down my throat.
Yeah,
That was the worst thing about it. Like I thought the worst part of this is going to be the fact that my throat's sore for a month. But
So I don't remember where we were coming back from. You got a call from your doctor.
I know exactly where we were coming back from. We were coming back from the crawfish boil at the business center on 121.
Yes, we were.
And we had been engaged in these watermelon seed spitting competitions and all of that stuff.
Right.
We lived in our house on Cross Bend. We pulled into I answered the call as we were pulling into the front circle drive on the house. And the C word entered our world for a second time.
And what did they say?
Well, so what had happened in the sonogram was that they had found a completely unrelated second tumor that was growing inside of my colon. And it was they had told me that this was it. They found that. They sent me to a colorectal surgeon at the time because it was in my colon, and he did a biopsy on it. And the call for that was the return of the biopsy on that, which I will also say for anybody that goes through cancer, I think in the last 10 years, one of the most common things that I've talked to people about is how slow doctors move once cancer enters your vocabulary. And it makes you feel like they're not moving fast enough.
Yeah.
And realistically, is they know probably better than we do. And what I've learned over time is the only time to panic is when they don't take their time. When they're like, oh yeah, we're going to get you an appointment in 2 weeks and we can come in and do this 2 weeks from now and you can start this a week after that and we'll get you into surgery a week later. Like that feels so frustrating when you're sitting here like this because it's like, no, I want to get this done now. And
unknowing is hard because you don't know how to mentally prepare. You don't know if you're preparing for a worst case scenario. You don't know if you're preparing for a best case scenario. So it's hard to mentally wrap your mind around, okay, what does this look like?
I mean, going back to the sonogram where they checked and found it, I remember walking out, I'm looking in the room where the operator had the camera and I'm going like, what'd you see? And he's just like looking straight ahead and wouldn't look at me. I'm like, come on, I know if you saw something.
Training. Part of their training is like poker training.
Yeah.
Poker face, that they are not going to say a word. So Jillian and Jet were 2.5. So they were so little at the time. I mean, we were still just in the rows of having twins, toddler twins.
I had just started remembering having kids. Like I remember that first year of twins, I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was a lot. And we had a lot of support and it was still a lot.
Yeah.
So okay, just fast forward. So you ended up having a colon resection, which is a really major surgery, and had the colon
took 8 inches of my colon out.
8 inches, which and the praise report, no bad, no nothing like that.
No bad.
It was all the best case scenario there. And then they take the lymph nodes and they go test those to find out if it spread any further.
Right, and it was still a stage 3, which means it had spread to my lymph nodes. It hadn't gone to another organ So it wasn't a stage 4. And they put me on chemo. So I proceeded to do, they told me they were letting me recover from surgery, and then put me into chemo.
So how did you mentally process that?
Am I allowed to cuss on your podcast?
No.
Okay.
This is a family-friendly podcast.
Anyway, it was a lot of, it felt very surreal at first. There was a lot of, like, because I think part of it was because it happened so fast. Like, it was like, I had a sports hernia, and then nope, I got cancer, and then 3 days later I'm having surgery, and then a week later I've got a different kind of tumor, and now I got to go get.
It was May to July. So
Yeah.
May was the initial, it was Red Day, so second week in May.
Second Thursday of May.
And then your surgery on your colon was July.
Mm-hmm.
And so then chemo started, I think probably August.
Yeah, it started
Fairly quickly after you recovered from your surgery.
I know it started when Q3 Bold started in August.
That's right.
Because I took Bold, the course in Keller Williams. I took the Bold course before my chemos.
So one of the things that I remember, and again, so much of it for me is a blur because, I mean, again, we were both working full time. I think the joke was your staff told you, because your chemo regimen was a week on and a week off, or you would every 2 weeks. So the first week was brutal, and then you'd get back to a fairly normal, I mean, it wasn't normal, but better. And then you'd have another round. And I remember your staff would tell you, especially on Thursdays and Fridays, by the time that chemo started coming in, like, you look gray. Everyone thinks you're half dead. You need to go home.
Yeah, you can't come into the office anymore.
Like, please, you're scaring people.
Yeah.
And you really, though, didn't take time off work besides your.
No, and I actually think for me, and I'll just, if I can say this, like, anytime anybody that you love, you walk with, that you know in life goes through cancer, like, there's no right or wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to do it on their own. And so the things that I say in this are how I dealt with it. It's
Right.
how I did it. And it's what I grew through, what I learned, what I tested. And honestly, you know, I if this would have happened a year earlier, I would have still been on staff at the church that we were with for the previous 10 years. And honestly, I think that might not have been as good a moment for me, because I know that my family in the church would have, I mean, they would have surrounded me. They would have sent me home on sabbatical. They would have, you know, had a meal train lined up for me. And they would have just said, you just go sit and relax and we'll take care of you. And quite honestly, I probably didn't really know this until after the fact. I remember talking to you. I didn't know this until after the fact. But that's exactly the opposite of what I needed. What I needed was to focus on work and get active and go do things, because that is what helped me battle this and keep my mind right through it. Because I think the biggest thing, and the reason I say everybody's going to do it their own way, is because it's your mindset is the number one thing that you're going to go through. Number one, you got to get your mindset right. Number two, you got to stay physically active. One thing I've learned in all of this is cancer doesn't thrive in environments that are rich in oxygen, which happens by moving.
Yeah.
And cancer eats and lives off sugars. So really, those two things. So I knew I needed to be in a place where I wasn't. I look back on it. I didn't know then, but I look back on it and I realized the best thing for me was to put my head down, go, stay active. Even when I didn't feel like it, I walked. Sometimes on a treadmill. And I just know that at that time it was exactly, because mindset was number one.
So you took Bold. You mentioned that. And I was in that Bold session with you. I was at Dallas Preston Road. You were at Rockwall. It was a regional event, though, so we had a lot of different market centers together. So Bold, again, it was 7-week coaching program, mindset, productivity. We took it as leaders.
Yeah.
Our agents took it as realtors for their business. And our coach for that one was Kate Patulski, and she is hardline, man. I mean, and I love that because she set such a high standard in the room that everybody minded their P's. Like, you were going to show up 110% or you weren't going to keep going. And she really challenged you a lot.
Yeah. Well, I told her starting off, because Bold was on Monday, my chemo was Tuesday. And I told her, I said, look, I've been diagnosed with cancer. I've had cancer surgery. I'm going through chemo. And I need this. And I remember I told you I was going to take Bold, and you were like, what are you thinking? And I was like, I need that mindset piece to set my head right for this. And I need that. And you said, okay. And I told Kate, and I remember the first week, she wasn't normal Kate.
Yeah.
She was a little softer on me than usual. But then I remember in the second week, she never really said it to me, but you just could see it on her face, like, okay, if you think you need this, you're getting it.
Yeah.
And I think she might have been harder on me during that one than she's been in the other 2 times I took it from her. So, but it was, again.
But it kept you from falling, and for both of us, from falling into a victim mindset.
Absolutely.
Of just feeling sorry for ourselves or focused on all of the uncontrollables, because there's so many uncontrollables. You know, stage 3 is obviously not as bad as stage 4. It's still very serious cancer. And you don't know what all is going to come out of the chemo and what the results are going to show. So there's still a lot of unknown in all of that.
Well, and they told me, if you remember, they told me that the type of cancer I have is a real slow-growing cancer. And that most likely, had I not had the first cancer, so that's why I say Red Day saved my life. Because had I not had the first, I would not have discovered the first cancer had I not overlifted in that day. And if I hadn't had the first cancer, they said we probably wouldn't have found this until it had grown and metastasized into other parts of my body and quite possibly killed me. So, it's kind of a classic example of what the devil meant for evil, God used for good. And that first diagnosis and the first surgery and all of that was what led us to find the other else we wouldn't have.
So your chemo, you had some crazy side effects to your chemo.
Yes.
And they had told you initially, this is a fun story. So they had told you initially that the particular type of chemo that you had, these would be the side effects you could definitely expect to experience. And then there are certain things that you may or may not experience. One of those was losing your hair.
Yeah.
And
yeah, there was a 20% chance I was going to lose my hair. Well, 1 in 5.
1 in 5.
Very slim.
Very slim chance.
Very slim. It's important to keep that in mind before I know you're headed on this one.
Well, so you tell the story. You're a better storyteller than I am.
So
I'll just defend myself along the way.
So first of all, Theresa informed me that if at any point in this process, I had to, if I lost my hair,
yes,
that she would not be one of those wives that supported me by shaving her head with me.
That is correct.
That I was not going to, I didn't need to have that expectation. And as long as we had that on the ground, then we could go. And so it was probably.
I offered to shave my daughter's heads.
Yep.
I'm kidding. They were pretty bald. Anyway, carry on.
So I don't know. Was it 3 weeks into chemo?
I don't know.
It was early on.
Maybe like second round.
Yeah. I remember I woke up one morning and there was, I don't know, maybe 4 strands of hair on my pillow.
I think it was more than 4. But it looked like, you were shedding a little bit of hair.
Yeah. Well, and what it did was it made my hair was getting brittle. My hair was getting, it was very dry. And then I remember I pulled it off my pillow and I walked in and I told Theresa and I was like, so honey, look, I don't know what this means, but maybe I'm the 1 out of 5 or something like that. And you and just all of your eagerness to support me go, all right, let's do it. And I'm like, do what? Shave your head. Yep. I'm ready. We'll shave. No reason to be patchy. No reason for it to be spotty. Like, let's just shave it now. And
let's get this over with. This is what's going to happen. No need to wait.
I'm here for you. You even said the words, I'm here for you.
I was.
Yeah. And I never lost my hair.
And you never lost your hair. So luckily he did not allow me to shave his head that day.
I thought it'd be best we just give it a couple more days. Like, I didn't think I was going to turn patchy overnight.
He didn't, and he never lost his hair.
Yeah,
and so that is the story that I almost shaved him bald unnecessarily, which you might have looked great bald. Nothing wrong with being bald, but I just wasn't necessarily your style and choice in that moment. And so, good times.
Yeah.
Good times. Okay, so what role did your faith play?
Oh, the primary role. I mean, the way it showed up. I mean, we have an ongoing, one of our family values is faith over fear, right? That we won't do things out of fear, we'll do things out of faith. And that was a lot easier said than done then. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of, there are days, I mean, I remember the nights of crying on the couch with you. We just had 2-year-old baby girls and might forget walking them down an aisle someday. Like I was worried, was I going to make it to elementary school? And however, what I would say is through all of that, knowing that, I saw a quote today talking about the floods happening in Texas. And, it said, loving, from the Christian camp that suffered, and said, uh, walking with Jesus doesn't guarantee that you won't experience pain, but it means you won't go through it alone.
Yeah.
And I think that that's probably where my faith came into play. Like, I had so much support. I had more support than I could have asked for. It's one of the things about for everybody out there that's listened, that's gone through this, it really doesn't matter how much support you have, because there's a lot of alone hours.
Yeah.
And the fact that I never had to be alone. Now, I didn't always realize I wasn't alone, and I had to constantly remind myself of that. But I think that the biggest piece that my faith, my faith is always one of joy. And
You like to say it's fun being me.
it's fun being me. And it didn't feel a lot of fun being me, but I knew that the scriptures, the promises of God, the experiences that I've had in my life, the relationship that I had with him, I knew he wasn't going to leave me alone. And so ultimately, I would say I knew it wasn't his plan for me to die. And I knew that if I did, there would be a reason for that.
So you also never lost your humor through it all. Didn't lose your faith, and you didn't lose your humor. One of my favorite things that you would do, and this is so terrible, but you would just shock value people with the fact that you had cancer.
Oh yeah.
Or
I am never.
this would shock people that didn't know, but they would say, how are you? And you would say things like, well, I have cancer, and just stare at them. And they would be like, oh my God, what do I say? What do I do? And you'd say, I'm kidding. Like, make
I remember
we
specifically
had
one.
so much fun with that. And I would just sit there and roll my eyes like, oh my God, I cannot believe you did that.
I still to this day will gladly use the C card, as we called it. I'll pull the C card anytime that I get a chance to.
He does.
I remember one of our friends came over.
Please comment if he has said that to you before.
I remember one of our friends came over, and she'd come over and like would go do art projects with our kids and this and that. And then like once I got diagnosed, went through surgery, this and that, it was like maybe, so that all started in May, and she hadn't been in the house. It was like September or October. She showed up for the first time.
And
she walked in and she was like, oh, it's been so long. How are you doing? And I was like, cancer's not contagious. She just stared at me. She's literally sitting at the front door of the house going, and Teresa's just like, Tommy, stop it. And I'm like, you can come over. You're not going to catch it.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I will still to this day. I was in a hot tub with some friends, and they were jumping into the pool it was New Year's. So hot tub, freezing cold water. And they were like, you got to jump.
I was already in bed at this point. Yeah.
You got to jump in. You got to jump in. I'm like, no, they're giving me a hard time because why can't you handle it? The stuff that men would do to rid themselves. And I remember I looked at them, I go, no, ever since I had cancer, my doctor told me that I shouldn't shock my body from one extreme temperature to the other. And they all went, oh, really? Sorry. Kind of just stopped.
You never said that.
No, my doctor never
You
said
never said
that.
that. Okay. So, talk about how you handled still being a leader in a high pressure environment where you still had to, and really chose to, as far as it wasn't like anybody was pushing you to do things you weren't able to handle, but you chose to continue to work and continue to show up for your people and for the organization. How did you handle that as a leader and going through that while you had that kind of responsibility?
I think honestly, I think transparency and authenticity helped me a lot in that. And, I knew what needed to get done.
Yeah.
And I just was open with people. And I talked about what I needed, and I talked about where I was at.
Was that hard for you?
Yeah, it was. It was, I don't like to need help. But I remember specifically, I was doing recruiting interviews still. And I can remember the day that a agent that I had recruited, that I had met with, had agreed to join the office, showed up at the office 3 weeks later and told my Market Center administrator at the time, got her down there and said, I met with Tommy Flood about 3 weeks ago, and he told me he was going to send me paperwork, and I've not heard from him since. And just so you know, I don't think it's the same, but I've heard that pregnant brain and chemo brain can sometimes be similar. So honestly, I just started forgetting everything I was saying and doing. Like I didn't know what it was. I was telling people we would do stuff and I wasn't doing it. I actually met this person in the office that day, and I walked away from greeting them and saying hello. And I looked at my Market Center administrator and go, Denise, I've never seen that person in my life. I don't know who that person is. So that was the day they decided to send somebody on an appointment with me. They just sat there and wrote down everything I said I was going to do, and then went and did it. I think that was the biggest deal. Was I did not have the memory to remember at the pace that I was accomplishing things. I mean, by golly, I was going to hire 10 agents a month into the office. I was going to do that because that's what my goal was. And that's what my expectation was. And I was going to go hit that. And I couldn't, I didn't have the memory capacity to keep up with what I was actually physically accomplishing. My brain was having more of a problem with it than my body was. Really, my body was, like you said it. I'd come out of chemo on Tuesday. I wore a port machine till Thursday.
As Jack called it, your sheen.
My sheen. Took that out on a Thursday afternoon. Friday, I looked gray and feeble. They told me to quit coming into the office on Fridays. Saturday, I pretty much laid in a fetal position on the floor all day long. And by Sunday night, I was trying to drink margaritas again.
That's correct. Well, and I think that just shows the importance that you had developed. Had you had the initial team around you, that probably wouldn't have gone as well.
Yeah.
And you had a group of people around you that really did step up and supported you and figured out what was needed for everything to happen. And I do think sometimes it's hard as a leader to ask for help. And it is still a sign of great leadership when you can say, I need help in this. And you've earned the right from your team for them to rally and go, I got you.
Well, and in that time, our Market Center was moving into a new location. Because I remember
about that.
I remember we had our grand opening, and I had to wear my tuxedo, and it was like 7 sizes too big for me because people had already shrunk me down.
I don't think we bought a new one. Why didn't we buy a new one?
I don't know. We just didn't at that
Budget
time.
cuts, I guess.
We weren't really sure how long I was going to be here. So
that's horrible.
And the reality, Theresa, you say that's how I got things done. I mean, I remember specifically Denise Flores, Paul Alexander King, Susie, like they were there to help. I don't even know everybody that helped me.
Yeah.
Like I honestly know that so many people did, and so many people supported me. So many people did things I'm sure I don't even know yet. So many people did things here. I remember that's one of the things, you when you publicly put it out on Facebook, and it was you put it out on Facebook, I had cancer. The moment that happened, every day I got like 10 home remedy things in my email. Hey, Tommy, you should try this. I was reading and I heard this. Or I thought, everything under the sun, from juicing carrots to eating marijuana oil. Like it literally was just, here, this is how you can cure yourself. Go live in the woods and eat just beets for a month and you'll be okay.
On Amber Alert.
I think with that, but I don't even know everybody that helped me through all that time. And there are people that, and I'll say this, it's very easy to think most of the people I've encountered that go through cancer tell you they don't need anything.
Yep.
Sometimes we're going to feel grumpy. Sometimes we're going to seem like you're bothering us, and you never are.
Yeah.
You never are. Every word that I got, every email with another goofy juicing recipe still meant somebody cared.
Somebody cared. Yeah. Well, I remember, and I had so much support at Dallas Press and Run. I'll never forget Barry Seal. Always sat, it was in our old building, and he always sat in the same desk every day, and at least once a week, he'd pull me over and he'd say, how's Tommy doing? How are you doing? But when he asked me, it wasn't just like, how you doing? It was like, look in my eye, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's those little gestures and just little words of encouragement that add up. And I think it's very easy to underestimate that, the gifts that we can give people in those moments, the little words. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. But yeah, I'm really grateful for the people that we had. People we worked with, the people, our families were amazing.
Yeah, it was. I mentioned earlier that process of had we been if I had been working where I was before, it would have been it'd been handled differently, not wrong, just differently. And my need to be active and going, and it just the support that came around us during that was part of you asked my faith journey, and it was part of it was part of what just showed me, okay, obviously all of this, like the Lord realized something was coming. The Lord knew what was coming. And it was, he put me in the place, put me in Rockwall, 6 months later, put you in Preston Road, created 2 giant families around us along with our faith family, that then 5 months later, we could go through this, and we both had the support we needed at the time. That was just a different kind of support than we would have had we not done that.
And then in December of 2014,
Yep.
you got a clear bill of health.
Yep.
And that has now,
What I don't understand is,
over 10 years ago, Tommy. I can't even believe that.
yeah, I never got to ring a bell.
You didn't?
No,
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, I don't.
Somebody bring me a bell.
I don't know exactly why, but I never, they never have, never used the word remission, never rang a bell, but I've been cancer-free for 10.5 years now.
And if you or anybody you know has gone through this, there's always a little bit of that holding your breath every time you go for your scan.
Yeah.
I know it at the beginning.
Well, it still is. You go for a scan, they give you the scan, they send you out of the room, you look and beg the guy behind this counter, what did you see? I know you saw stuff. Finally, one guy sat me down and goes, you want me to know what I saw? And he showed me this, and I was like, oh, yeah, you can't see anything on that. It's like, this is why we send it off and let people look at this for us. Oh, okay. The radiologist is like, I don't know what this says. And so, but then, I mean, it's literally, you go in on Reddit, and it's a week later before you come in and find the results. And so you just got this whole week of like, all right, let's see what happens. I hope I feel normal. Everything feels fine. But yeah, the frequencies of those visits are down, and it's a once-a-year trip, and yeah, I've been cancer-free ever since.
So what is different, or the number one thing that is different between Tommy Flood pre-cancer diagnosis and Tommy Flood now?
I never thought of myself. We used to say, being in full-time ministry, that I thought we thought we gave a lot of ourselves until we had kids. And then we realized how selfish we still were.
Yeah.
I never thought of myself as somebody that didn't live in the moment. I always thought I was good at embracing now. And that, I would say probably what I realize is how much more right now means. Because when you truly are faced with tomorrow may not come. And I probably took a final step of a journey to where experiencing things with people that matter means more than stuff. And that's probably the biggest difference. Even in my leadership, it has become more about who I lead with. I feel I moved a big jump in my life from being a leader to being a leader of leaders. And a lot of that came because of the opportunities that have followed since then. But what changed inside of me happened a lot of that during cancer. And that was who I experience what with matters more than what I experience. And more than what I get. It's who I experience with that matters.
So what would you say to somebody who's listening that's going through a hard time, whether it's a diagnosis of somebody that they love, just going through a hard time in life? What would you say to them from somebody who's walked through it and come out the other side?
So I would say, big picture, just somebody going through something difficult, is life's about seasons. Life is not about, it's not just about, it just sounds weird because we're talking about living in the moment, but the moment isn't necessarily days and nights. The moment is seasons too. And, people come into our lives for seasons, people leave our lives for seasons. It's the circle of life. And, I think that's keeping in mind that this is a season. Touching your faith. Obviously, I'm a Christian and I'm a man of faith in that front, but going through anything difficult without some level of faith that you gotta understand that there's more than this physical world, right? We're not, whatever you believe in, we are not temporary physical beings, or we are not permanent physical beings having a temporary spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings that have a temporary physical experience called life, with whatever that is. There's so much more out there than that. And you've got to figure out, you've got to find your truth and how you remind yourself of it. Specifically for cancer, there's no right way. And especially if you're walking with, I had a conversation with somebody 2 weeks ago, and one of their parents just got diagnosed with cancer. And I was telling them, I was like, look, there's no right way to do this. The right way is the way they want to do it. And I even encouraged, I said, you tell your parent, if you'll be open to anything, I'll be open to support whatever you decide. And I think that that's the big deal about, especially with cancer, is, there's no right way. Some people it's going to be chemo, some people it's not. Some people it's going to be radiation, some people it's not. Some people it's going to be pills, some people it's going to be shots. Some people it's going to be, whatever it is. And God heals in a bunch of different ways. And it's not just some miracle. That's great, and it is one way. I didn't get one of those, right? Sometimes the body heals itself. I didn't get that. What I got was God gave wisdom to a doctor that got it all. And then to another doctor that knew the right cocktail to give me to make sure it didn't come back. And God still heals.
Good word.
And
Thanks for talking about this.
no, it's easier than I thought it would be.
What is bringing you, last question,
Okay.
what is bringing you joy these days? What is making it fun to be Tommy Flood?
A little bit. So it's a couple of different things. And they kind of probably apply. Number one, it's, man, I've got a good group of people around me. And it seems to be a really common theme that I'm finding here. I've got a good group of people around us at church. I've got a great group of people around us at work. And I mean, I've got the most amazing 3 women at my house. Well, one's almost a woman. 2 of you are women. It's not right there.
Was way too much.
But it's, I've got 3 amazing women around the house. What brings me joy is that I'm getting to do this with the people I'm getting to do it with. I would say specifically at work. So this is probably all of them. We're experiencing this in our church life with change. We're experiencing this in our family life with our girls growing up and starting to be a little more independent from us. I mean, we're experiencing this at work with how different the real estate industry is every day you wake up, right? I like change. I've always liked change. I enjoy when I get bored when the same things happen over and over again. And there's so much happening right now in the world and so much change happening that honestly, it brings me joy. I'm not always happy with it. There's a lot of stupid stuff that happens out there too, but there's so much change that it's like, I like the fact that I get to be a part of.
So wait, I'm hearing you tell me, and what every listener is hearing, is that you are so excited to review our living room and love change and bring joy.
I don't think that's what every listener heard.
I'm pretty sure. If you heard that, please message me specifically. No?
Yeah, you can go that route. No, but no, I get joy by the fact that we get to redefine how real estate's being done right now, both from an agent perspective and a broker perspective. I'm enjoying our season at church with a brand new senior pastor coming in. There's so much change happening around, and it's fun.
It's fun. I love you.
I love you.
Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of The Upside, where we believe that when you invest in...
Oh, I told the girls I would say this. If you like this episode, pound that subscribe button. Smash that subscribe button.
Smash it.
Smash it.
I think you have to smash it.
I don't know what to do.
I don't know. They do all the things. Yeah, smash that subscribe button. That would be on YouTube.
The girls told me to say that.
They did.
They said you don't say it enough.
I don't say it enough. That is perfect feedback. I would love it if you would smash that subscribe. It's hard to subscribe button. I get a little tongue-tied about that. And we're also going to bring Jillian and Jet in soon into the studio.
You have to get that done before the summer's up.
I know. Well, no, Jet is literally, she has said, Mom, please pull me out of school to go record. Please, please just pull me out of school. We're going to do it in the summer. So stay tuned. Anyways, thank you for joining us for another episode of The Upside. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.